All right, so what's up, everybody? For the longest time, I've been doing tier lists on social media, my favorite video game soundtracks, favorite horror movies, ranking this thing and that thing and the other thing. And so today, we're going to go over one of my tier lists while playing some balloons. Topic of discussion is Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th movies. We're going to be ranking all of the Friday the 13th movies. Now, out of the big three, you're talking Michael Myers, you're talking Freddy Krueger, you're talking Jason Voorhees. Out of those big three, I do honestly rank Jason at the bottom of those, respectfully, But he's a bottom tier big three for me. He's just, he's limited to the woods. I don't know. I could make a whole nother video talking about that alone. The point is, I think Freddy Krueger is top tier, very high tier, very creative, horrifying. The way he goes about things, fantastic. Michael Myers sits right in the middle. So, it's always been an interesting topic to me on what I even think about the Friday the 13th movies in general. So, I sat down, I gave it some thought. Do I even like these movies? Are they up my alley at all? I've devised a little tier list here, ranking them all from worst to best. As they say, let's hop right into it, right? So, coming in at the worst, the absolute worst out of every Friday the 13th movie, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. This movie should not be called Jason Takes Manhattan. It should be called Jason Takes a Boat Ride for 2/3 of the movie. Okay? I love corny and cringe stuff, but this is too much. This is way too much. The best part of this movie is when he punches a guy's head off on top of a roof. It's over the top just for the sake of being over the top, and it's just I think I'm okay. I think I'm good on that one. Like I said, he doesn't even get to the city until well into the third act. Absolute worst, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Moving on, we have the almost worst. This isn't the absolute worst, but it's pretty close, and it's very difficult to differentiate the two sometimes. And that's going to be Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, okay? This one is, it's awful. It's really bad. Like, you don't even see Jason kill anybody. It's not even Jason doing it. It's people being possessed by Jason's spirit, or by like the spirit of the lake, or maybe it's the spirit of his mother. I don't know the lore. I don't really care about the lore. The coolest thing about that movie is when this huge, like 6'6" doctor guy, he gets like completely hypnotized by the beating of this black possessed heart that used to belong to Jason, and he picks it up and he starts going to town on it, and it's disgusting, it's vile, you know what I mean? It's just it's a bit much, to be honest, but that's the best part about it. Not even any kills or any storyline. The worst part about it, the unforgivable part about it, is that Jason makes noises in pain. In the opening sequence, like, apparently like a SWAT team like sabotages Jason with like a bait girl or something, and they mow him down with like, they got these guns and everything, and you could hear Jason going Jason doesn't make noises. He's like this zombie super ghost demon badass. Like, what? It ruins it. It ruins it. Almost worst, Jason Goes to Hell, Final Friday. Moving on. Passable. The next tier is Passable. Okay, so if you're scrolling through your Netflix or your Shudder or whatever form of media that you go through, and you see this one, it's perfectly acceptable to just say, let's see if maybe they got like Hook or something. Let's see some Robin Williams or something, right? Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I understand why. It's the film that introduced the hockey mask, the the staple, right? The hockey mask represents Jason, right? I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I have to be honest. I don't think the hockey mask is the best look for Jason. That's what it boils down to. I'll get into that later. I will get into that later, believe me. But in the meantime, I'll leave it at that. I'm not crazy about it. I am not crazy about it. It's almost exactly the same as the first two movies. You know, it really doesn't need to exist. Part 3, Part 2, Part 1, everything that Part 2 and 1 accomplished, Part 3 just tries to recycle it. And, you know, that's cool if that's what you want out of the movie, but I don't really just want that, you know? The only good thing about that movie, which isn't even really a good thing to me, because I already mentioned that I'm not crazy about the mask, but the only thing good about that movie is that he acquired the hockey mask. He became known as the goalie killer, or whatever you want to call him, right? Everything else just, you could leave it. Didn't need to be made. It was a cash grab, as they call it. And, you know, that's fine. There's plenty of horror movies, plenty of series, film series out there that do that. But this one was a little too obvious to the point where it was like almost insulting, you know? Almost. That's my tier for, that's my choice for the tier of Passable. Friday the 13th 3D. Now, coming in at Watchable is Friday the 13th 2009. Okay, that's the remake or reboot, whatever you want to call it. People argue about what makes a remake or a reboot all the time. I don't care what you call it. The point is that remakes and reboots are a lot better than they get credit for on the internet. There are so many good remakes. There are so many good reboots. Stop complaining about Hollywood ruining your childhood. Let go of the nostalgia. Enjoy them. Okay? It's one of those movies where, again, if you're scrolling through Netflix, if you're scrolling through Shudder, scrolling through the menu on your cable box or whatever, and you see that it's on, by all means, you could put it on. Sure. You might scroll past it first, but then you come back to it, you know, you and some friends are hanging out, you just want something in the background that doesn't, you know, horribly suck, it's not awful. Absolutely, put it on. It's not the worst. It's not passable, you know? The one thing that does kind of stink about it is that they changed the identity of Jason, or like his attectives. He kept a live victim. He kept a hostage. He kidnapped a girl. That he doesn't do that. That's just that's the one part about that movie that's just kind of not into it. Not into it at all. Not into it at all. So watchable, but nothing more than that. Friday the 13th, 2009. The remake. We're going to call it a remake, not a reboot. Because of the fact that he's kidnapping, right? Yeah, if it was like a reboot, that means that they're going to stick to the original lore, right? So it's a total remake. You know, they changed the identity, the tactics, if you will, of Mr. Voorhees. Totally a remake. Coming in at the tier for not awful, okay? It's just a step above watchable. You know what I mean? Like, you put it on when you're with your buddies, and you wouldn't, like, make fun of it the entire time. You would enjoy it, you know? It's just a small step above the remake, and that's Freddy versus Jason. This movie has aged horribly in terms of CGI, right? Horribly. It has aged horribly in terms of CGI. So it has aged horribly in the terms of the CGI. It's super, like, early 2000s cornball, you know, like, it has like bodies flying off of like trees and roofs of houses, like pinballs. It's insane. It's like you're watching The Matrix or something. You know, it really tries to cater to the times, and just trying to cater to the late 90s or early 2000s was a really bad move for everybody who tried it. You know, it's not good. However, it's hilarious. It never stops being hilarious. And it's got some really legit kills in it. It has some really legit kills in it, you know? So, coming in at not awful, it's Freddy vs. Jason. Now, we're finally getting into the better side of things, okay? This next tier is very decent. Very decent, okay? And you'll be surprised to hear this, but this one actually isn't a legit Friday the 13th release. This is a fan-made movie, a fan-made film called Never Hike Alone. You know, I didn't watch it like upon release or anything like that, is what I'm trying to say. So for that alone, I'm not going to get too in-depth about it, because I'd rather have the people who haven't seen it go check it out for themselves. However, you'll be surprised that a fan-made film is better than a handful of the originals. We've gone through quite a few originals already, and here we are with a fan-made film better than all of them. So, after very decent with Never Hike Alone, the next tier is enjoyable. Alright, now we're getting good. Now we're getting good. Coming in at the tier of enjoyable is Jason X. Jason X, yes, that's right. Jason X is better than every previous film I've talked about thus far. This gets a lot of hate. This one gets a lot of hate, but it knows exactly what it is. It knows exactly what it's doing. The people who made it, they knew exactly what they were doing. It's self-aware. It breaks the fourth wall. You know, it never stops being fun. It never stops being completely just off-the-wall bonkers. Plus, there's a freaking David Cronenberg cameo, you know? On top of all of that, Jason kills an entire space city, an entire space colony. He kills an entire space colony by crashing into it. No other horror movie comes close to that kind of body count. Like, I've had friends who argue with me that, like, Independence Day comes close. But first of all, that's not a horror movie. Second of all, that's not one person. And sure, Jason's not a person, right? But that's an entire species of alien. That's an entire race of alien that's attacking. It's not just like one entity, right? Jason X, absolutely freaking enjoyable. It's good. It's really good. It's fun. Just watch it. Just enjoy it. It's like watching pro wrestling. Okay, that's exactly what it is. Jason X is NJPW or, you know, AEW, whatever your choice is. You know, that's exactly what it is. Now, coming in at the tier of good, this is just plain good, is the original. Friday the 13th, Part 1, the original. It's just plain good. All right, Pamela Voorhees. It's got the first-person shooter. You know what I'm saying? The kills, you know, they're not very clever, but you know they don't need to be for its time, right? It's just solid. It's just plain good. There's not much to be said about it. Everybody knows what happens by this point. If you don't, then maybe it's good that I don't really get too in-depth about it. Go watch it. It's just plain good. Now, coming in at just a step above that at very good is Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. That is very good. By the power of lightning, he is risen. That is good stuff. That is really good stuff. If you haven't seen this one, they dig this poor soul up and, good lord, gets struck by light. That's the plot? That is the plot of the movie? He gets struck by lightning and comes back to life? Okay. I'm watching this apparently. Oh, it turns out that it's actually really very good. Fair enough. Has really awesome kills in it. It's super corny. It's just very good. It's just a very good movie. The step above that, we're not just talking very good anymore. Now we're talking very, very good. Okay? And that's Friday the 13th, Part 4, The Final Chapter. Introduction of Tommy. I'm in. I am in. Crispin Glover dancing awkwardly like Elaine Bennis. I am in. I'm sold. You got me. All right? I'm down. You want to see Marty McFly's dad take a machete to the face after getting rejected? Watch this movie. It is ridiculously good. It's the best part about Crispin Glover being in this film is that there's like rumors about what he was like back then. Apparently he had like a toy boat collection or like models of boats, and one of them fell into the lake that they were filming at, and it got like damaged or lost or something like that. This may not even be true, but it's like it's a common like rumor that's told in some of my horror movie, social media groups. And apparently he started crying and threw a hissy fit. And it led to everybody just completely losing steam and just completely not caring anymore. Completely killed the mood for the last week of filming. And that just makes me love Crispin Glover even more. That's so good. That is amazing. I love that story. I don't even care if it's true. I believe it. I 100% believe it. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, please see it. Coming in at very, very good. Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. Okay? Now, coming in at a step above that is very, very freaking good, right? That's the only logical next step, right? And that's Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Okay, now this movie was censored it was supposed to be more brutal than it already was. And if you've seen the movie, you know just how brutal it is. It's pretty rough. It has some moments that, borderline cringe moments. The sleeping bag scene? The sleeping bag scene was supposed to be way more brutal. He smacks the sleeping bag into the tree a good 7 or 8 more times, and that original film has been damaged and will never be released. There's a crappy bootleg of it on YouTube somewhere. It doesn't look good, but it gives you the idea. The floating TV. let's be real. That deserves to be high on the tier list just for the floating TV in general. Very, very freaking good. Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. That's a good one. That is a keeper for sure. Coming in at almost best. This is the one that's not exactly top tier, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. All right, this is one that I like a lot. This is not only a good Friday the 13th movie, but it's just a great horror movie in general. That's Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. Friday the 13th, A New Beginning is so good. Oh man. The blue striped mask, such an awesome idea, such an original idea. They took such a risk and it paid off. Sometimes a risk like that is just a bit too much and it doesn't really hit the mark. It hit the mark 100%. It's not even Jason. Spoiler alert, it's not even Jason. It's somebody's dad that you barely even met. Oh, yes. That's what horror is about. You know what I mean? I don't want to get to know somebody. I don't want any, in-depth, character development. It's just somebody's dad that was pissed off. Hell yes. I'm watching it. Every day of October. Great horror movie. And those damn enchiladas, right? Oh my god.
Oh! Hey, you okay?
Oh! Some damn enchiladas!
Oh!
Oh, one of the best lines in all of spooky movies. Those damn enchiladas. That's good stuff. That is good stuff. And now, on to probably another controversial pick. The best. The best of the best. Friday the 13th, Part 2. Absolute best. No debate. I mentioned earlier that I don't think Hockey Mask is the best look for Jason. That is because 100% Potato Sack Mask, best mask. Easily. It's horrifying. It's simple. It's chaotic. It's psychotic, It only has the one hole, right? What kind of psychopath runs around the woods with just... you're just begging to sprain your ankle, right? It has so many things going for it. It has the best cast of teens, right? It has the best cast of kids getting killed. It has the best dumb cop out of all of them. Every horror movie needs a dumb cop, right? It has the best one. He's such a bozo. It's great. It has the absolute best final girl. And the twist with the final girl when she puts on the mom's sweater and finds the mom's head. Jason kept the severed head? Are you kidding me? I died. I died getting into this movie. That's how good it is. So, Friday the 13th, Part 2, easily the best of the best. Hockey Mask doesn't do it for me. At all. When you think Jason Voorhees, you may think Hockey Mask. When I think Jason Voorhees, I think Potato Sack. I understand why they changed it. It's not, it's nothing memorable. There's other movies that did stuff that was similar, but yeah. Part 2, best of the best. But yeah, that was my tier list. every single Friday the 13th movie ranked worst to best. Probably won't agree with a lot of them. Maybe you will. But, as usual, think like Lisa, act like Bart.